have a clear understanding as to what your personal style is, because you're going to end up buying the same thing, staying in the same style rut, not having the image that helps you to project your level of confidence. And you'll always feel as though, oh, this is not who I am. I wish that I can be, or I wish that I can dress this way.
Hello, profiteurs, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. I am so excited. We have a special guest. Her name is Solita Roberts, and Solita is actually the founder of a company called Style to Impact, which is an image coaching and training company that specifically works with women executives and entrepreneurs to build wardrobes that power their confidence, influence, impact, and income. She focuses on building that authentic style for confidence, representation, visibility, and impact. And she has worked with some of the world's famous TEDx speakers, keynote speakers, lawyers, financial advisors, and coaches. Solita was actually named one of LinkedIn's 2022 top voices in fashion and beauty industry. And she was featured on the CW network. So please join me in welcoming Solita to the platform. Hey, Solita, how are you doing today?
Hey, Susanne. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to dive into today's conversation.
You know, I was like tempted to interview off the air because I'm like, ooh, I want somebody to style me. I want to get out this black jacket. So tell me, first of all, what does a stylist do? What do you do every day? I imagine that's like credit card heaven. Tell me about it.
Actually, no. So for me, I know that's the mindset and that's sometimes the misconception, because that's what we see when we think about stylists. We think about the celebrities. We think about, famous people and stylists working with them. And yes, there is some swiping of credit cards, one, to hire me, and then two, to get the right pieces in your wardrobe. But as a personal stylist, I focus primarily on who you are as a person first, before we get to swiping cards and deciding what you're going to wear. So it's getting that clarity in who are you as an individual? How do you want to show up? And I specifically work with women of color, because we are not necessarily, when we think about how we present ourselves in the world, most of us are shrinking ourselves to fit into the world, because image bias is real. And we were told that how we look, from our hair to our skin tone to our size, everything like that is not professional. We're often put into this narrative like, oh, the way you present yourself is not professional. And so you just made a joke. It's like, oh, I'm tired of wearing this black blazer. Well, that's because when we entered the workplace, we were told these are the specific colors that we should wear. And we're wearing them just to fit in, not to ruffle anyone's feather, because I'm wearing pink today, right? Most persons, like women of color that I've worked with, is like, no, I can't wear pink. So for me, it's getting deep on who are you? What are some of those roadblocks that are standing in your way? One of those things is fear. Fear for women of color and Black women to say, I'm not going to wear the black. I'm going to wear the pink. It's a real thing. So I start with that internal work. Who are you? How you want to show up? What do you want your message to be? And then, of course, we decide, okay, let's develop your personal style based on how you want to show up, your personal style preferences. Like, do you prefer pants over dresses, skirts over, what is your preference? Identify what are some of the colors you want to add to your wardrobe. And then I create your mood board. I give you a couple of options of things that you can purchase, and then you can go purchasing. I don't purchase and then go figure it out. No, what I do is start from the inside, like, who are you? And that's where the authentic styling comes in. Because if I don't know who you are, and if you don't know who you are as well, you're going to find yourself being stuck in that, what I call the corporate wardrobe. Doesn't represent who you are.
I love that. I remember I got my first relaxer, when I was 14. You can tell it's gone now. And, I got relaxers religiously, every 6 weeks until I turned 25. And one day I went to the hairstylist and she's like, for me, she's like, I can't even tell what a new growth is. Why are you getting these? And I remember the big chop, and cutting off my hair. And I was talking to one of my good friends a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. And she's like, yeah, I keep seeing all these Facebook posts now about cancer in Black women, like uterine cancer, and they think it's linked with relaxers. I was like, look how much we tortured ourselves all these years, burning the scalp. I remember sitting there and they're like, you got 15 more minutes, honey, 15 more minutes. And I'm like, I'm about to pull my head off. It's like burden. But you're absolutely right. We sacrifice so much to look professional, right?
And that's sad, right? As Black women, we have all had those, hear stories. We're experiencing a burning. And then I remember one time, like for me, I started to get relaxed, or maybe I was like 10, 11, because my hair is very thick and I have a lot in its very natural state. It's like difficult to manage. And my aunt got the relaxer and put it in, but she didn't get the one that I normally use. And everything just went. It just burnt everything off. Like literally, I went bald. As a 10-year-old, it's a horrible experience. And now to hear all that years that we were using chemicals, because I never like I went natural, not because I wanted to be natural, because my hairdresser was traveling. My hairdresser left. So I decided maybe it's about 10 years now, it's been natural. It's been the best thing ever, not having to sit down and go, oh, it's burning. I think you have to take it out now.
And
Of
it's amazing
course,
what a flat iron can do too. I mean, a flat iron can look just like a relaxer now with technology and how
that's
far it's
exactly
gone.
what this is.
I
That's
love it.
exactly how I'm wearing my hair. Yeah.
It looks great. It looks great, Selena. So tell me about the first thing that goes into dressing, because I feel like as a professional, me personally, I've kind of developed a uniform. That uniform is a blazer. It can be different colors, but it's probably more on a dollar side. I like the black pants because it makes me look probably 10 pounds lighter. And I didn't have black skirts. I matched the black pants. So if I don't want to wear a skirt one day, I can alternate and still look 10 pounds lighter. And the top, not too many patterns, because that just confuses people. But let's talk about clothing, and let's talk about what is right clothing, wrong clothing. Let's talk about clothing.
You have my mind going with this question, and just even you explaining your process of determining what you're going to wear and why you're going to wear it. And that's a process that everyone goes through, right? Like, okay, why do I want to wear this particular top as opposed to this? But one of the challenges that I've seen, especially as I said, for women of color and Black women, is that we make decision of what to wear based on what we think, the perception of what we think someone will accept us as. Right. And for me, the thing that I've noticed is that when we are stuck, what I call being stuck in that conformity phase, is like stuck in that conformity trap, because we're not making the decision to wear a particular color, style, or outfit because we feel good at it. It's all the things that we were told how we should present ourselves to, I'm going to use air quotes, to look professional, that we have adopted. So for me, it's when you're thinking about getting dressed, yes, we have to be appropriate for the environments that you're going in. And when I use the word appropriate, I like to use this example. You can't wear a bikini into the boardroom, right? So that's what appropriate, thinking about when you think about being appropriately dressed, that's what, in that context, that's what I want you to think about and imagine. But let's say, for instance, you are working as an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you are networking with clients, you're meeting different, prospects and opportunities that you're looking for. One of the best things that you can do, and everyone can do this, is to show up the way you want to communicate your brand and your message is connected to you. What do you feel great in? Do you actually feel great in the black and white? Every time you look at yourself, all your branding photos, every speaking opportunities that you have, like you're on stage, you're looking the same, but is it you? Do you feel fired up? Do you feel like, oh my gosh, I look amazing. I look great. Or are you sitting down when you're getting dressed, like, okay, I'm having a speaking engagement. What is everyone else wearing? Or what should I wear? How am I going to be perceived if I wear this pink dress as opposed to, instead of the black dress? Like you just said, it's like, oh, I'm not going to wear the print top because it's going to be perceived somewhere. Is it really? Is it really going to be perceived? Now, if you're on television, like you're doing an interview like we are doing right now, then there's certain prints and patterns that you shouldn't wear because the camera, it distorts, it look busy, and it can be dazzling, like too busy and distracting. But if you're meeting with a client, you represent who you are. You're going to work, you're representing who you are. Is your printed shirt, is it too busy? Or is it just you? Right? So when you're thinking about getting dressed, like even before you get dressed, because we're in that stage where like, oh, we were talking about this joking where you realize that, oh, the pandemic is over, we're going out. I only have tops. Like, oh, what do I do? Now I have to go get bottoms. I experienced the same thing because we got accustomed to dressing tabletop. And so the focus was on that. So now we're going out and it's like, we have to put together a complete look. And so when you're thinking about now you're going out, you're like, okay, I need to go purchase new clothing. Before you go and purchase the same things in your closet, the way that I work with my clients is to determine who are you right now? Because 2 years ago and the person that you are today, I can guarantee you some things have changed about you in terms of your comfort levels. Like, no, I'm not doing the heels anymore. Or no, you may be in that phase where you're like, I realized that for most of my life, I was doing things according to everyone else's direction and what they thought I should be and how I should show up. And you're finally in that clarity stage where you're like, nope, I want to discover who I am and I want to step into more of who I am. And so you're now looking, what are some of the pieces that I need to add to my closet? And that comes from you. So when you're getting dressed now, all the pieces that you would have purchased are connected to you. But before you can buy anything, know who you are in this stage of your life and how you want to show up, and assess whether or not the decision that you're making based on your wardrobe choices, is it a preference in terms of comfort, is a comfort level for you, or is it that you think it may be perceived in a negative way by someone else?
I love
If you're
that.
doing it because of the negative perception that someone may have of you, then you're not stepping into your full self. And I'm going to quote Bosema St. John on this. Life is too short, right? Live your full life and step into being who you are. It's not a direct quote, but be who you are in this life. That's it. Like, be who you are. How do you want to show up? There are persons that you're going to connect with, and there are other persons that you're not. It's not because you decide to be yourself. It's because that's just how that person is. And you shouldn't put yourself in a box because someone else can't accept you for who you are.
Powerful words there. Very powerful words. And you're right. I love how you talk about that. In my 20s, I could walk around the entire city of Chicago wearing heels and be okay. But 2 kids later and 20 years later, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's get some comfortable Born shoes right now so we could just make it down the block. Right. And, I remember like when I was, my first year out of college at Arthur Anderson, we went to train in St. Charles. And I remember like they took a picture of us. And, it's like the whole first year class. It was for people from all over the world. I mean, like United States, New York, Chicago, people from like South Africa, people from Brazil, like everybody got trained in this one place in St. Charles. And we were taking this group photo. And I remember I was so proud. It looked like one of those like classroom pictures, all the kids lined up, but we were like, 20 something years old. And I brought it to a friend and he was like, oh, I can tell that one's the manager. And I was like, how did you know? How did you know she was the manager? He goes, because she's the only one wearing a white suit. You guys are like looking like a uniform there with like black suits.
Yeah.
And you're right. She was comfortable in her presence. She was comfortable in herself and her power showed through with that. So you're absolutely right with that. Now, I am sure that other women have felt this way, probably across the world in America, where you've gone into a dressing room and you felt like a ball of Play-Doh stuffed into a plastic bag. Just like everything was too tight. Everything just did not flatter. And a lot of times we go home depressed after shopping, right? Like I actually at times like, I'm like, oh man, I don't even want to go shopping because that feeling of coming home and having tried on all these clothes and that lighting, they should have learned. They should make like Bordeaux lighting in the dressing room. They'll sell more, right? Like, don't show me the rolls, and the flaws. Like, give me some false lighting. Give me some like funny mirrors, that make me look thin. But, like, I don't know how many listeners are women out there, but like, I'm sure you guys relate to like looking like the funny in the mirror and just coming home kind of depressed. Give us some tips on dressing for our body types. How do we know what type of clothes works best for our body types? Maybe the women that had children look a lot different than when they didn't have children. Give us some tips on that, Solita.
Yes, the dressing room meltdown, it's a real thing because for a couple of reasons, right? One, we're going into stores trying to find clothing that fits our individual exact body type. And we need to understand that the decision makers who decided that, okay, this is going to be the trend, this is going to be the look, this is going to be the cut, Don't try it on or consider your body type. They're not looking at there are millions of women in the world. Let's tailor this garment for what the million body type. They're not doing that. They have a specific model, a specific clientele in some cases in mind. Because if you've ever gone to a store that maybe a retailer that has a chain, and you go to a specific location, i.e., it may be considered high end, like the income level is a little bit more, and then you go to another location that's not so, maybe it's above minimum wage, you'll see the difference in the items that they will have in those stores. Because some of the things that those persons are thinking about, the decision makers, is like, oh, who are we tailoring on our clothes for? Who are we trying to sell our clothes to? And if you have gone through some body changes, they're not considering that, oh, yeah, you may have gone through a body change. And so we need to tailor this particular garment for you. So the first thing that I see, that's what you have to keep in mind. One, the size in the stores and the clothing weren't tailored specifically for you, right? The second thing is your size is not dependent, as in your body measurements, what your shape is not dependent like what the store says. Like the store is saying you should be a size 12. So one store says you're a size 12 and you're like, yep, I've been a size 12 all my life. That's who I am. I'm going with it. But then you tried a new store, and that store is saying you're a size 14, and you're trying to squeeze yourself in a size 12 because you're like, nope, I'm a size 12. I'm not wearing that 14. And that sometimes is where the discomfort, like you put it on, you're like, this is not fitting me. Nothing is fitting because you're going with this one idea. I'm a size 12. I always advise women, one, get your measurements done. Know what your current body measurements. What is your bust size? What is your waist size? What is your hip size? What is your inner seam? What is your sleeve length? Maybe you've never done that before, right? And sometimes when we put on weight, you'll find that maybe your shoulders, everything is coming out, so it expands a little bit more. And so your sleeve length may be different because that particular garment isn't fitting the way it used to, maybe when you were 10 pounds lighter. Right? So get your measurements done. Understand as well, when I talk about measurements, what is your bra size? Get your correct measurements done, because if you're wearing the wrong bra size and then you're trying to put on clothes, try on clothes, all of that impacts how the clothes fit you and whether or not that particular garment is your right size. Now, once you have your measurements, forget whatever size you thought you were. One of the things you can do is go on a company's website. Let's say you're using Nordstrom's and you're looking at the blazers, and you have decided, based on your measurements, you're 34 bust, sleeve length is 27, whatever it is. When you're going to purchase that blazer, compare your actual body measurements to what the site is saying for a size 4. This is what the measurements should be. So if the retail site says, based on your measurements, let's go 34, 30, 38. And the retail site is saying the best size fit for you is a size 12. Please do not have a meltdown because you are size 10. Because if you try to fit yourself in a size 10, that is where the frustration comes in. You will find your best fit when you compare measurements, and make sure you get as close as possible to your measurement. Sometimes it may require you going up a size because they're not considering your specific body, where you may have longer legs, short torso, you may have wider hips than normal, you may have, bigger bust than normal. They're not considering all these things. So you may have to go up a size. And that's okay, because guess what? You can get it tailored to fit your specific body. Women, one of the things that I realized when I, just like thinking about it, I was just sitting down one day and I'm like, wait a minute. From all the male figures that I've been around, I've never heard them saying, oh, this doesn't fit me. It's too big. Something is wrong with my body. Men will say, this doesn't fit me. Can I go get it tailored? Do I have the time? Is it worth it? Do I want to get it tailored? Women, this doesn't fit. it's too big, or I have to go up a size. Like, oh my gosh, my body, I don't hate my body. I don't like this. And we go down that negative rabbit hole. It's like, no, I want women to start thinking about, can I get this clothes tailored to me? When you go into the dressing room and you try on a size 6 pants and it's not fitting, like you, yes, Beyonce talk about jumping in your jeans. If you don't jump in your jeans, then you don't know my struggle. I get it. Her jeans still fit her, but if you're jumping in your jeans and you're trying to squeeze your tummy and everything in it and it's not fitting, go up a size. If that means the waist is a little bigger, get it tailored to you. You have to understand your individual body. What are the nuances? What do you, I don't like to use the terms like or dislike, but we understand, like there's certain parts of our bodies, like, yes, I'm ready to show my back, I'm ready to show my arms, like we feel more confident in, and that's okay. Learn your body, and what feels good on you. Do not wear clothes to hide your body. Do not wear clothes to hide your body. I'm going to repeat that again. Do not wear clothes to hide your body.
Don't hide your
Purchase
body, guys.
purchase clothing and get it tailored to you. You'll very seldom find anything in stores that fit. If you find something that fit your body, great. You've found a winner. But it's not always going to happen. There's either it's going to be too big in the back, too long on the bottom, something. Get it tailored to you. Get it tailored to you, and don't wear clothes to hide.
Now let's talk about places to shop. You know, I had a coworker for many, many years. Like her favorite place was Ross. She would find like dresses with all kinds of prints that would drive me crazy and put on a blazer. You know, lately my favorite place has been Bergdorf Goodman. And I'm like, oh, I got to control myself, you know, but I love how it fits. Tell me about like clothing and where you're shopping and what's the best place to shop, or is there a better place to shop depending on your body type?
That's a good question. In terms of shopping, there are a couple of things that you have to consider when you're thinking about brands to shop and what you want to buy. You have to consider, what is your actual personal style? How do you want to shop? Do you have a creative style? Do you have maybe a classic look that you have? Like, know exactly what your personal style is. And that's why it's important to do that first step. And then, of course, like you have to consider your budget, right? What is your budget? Because I can tell you, one of my favorite, absolute favorite brands to shop is Karen Miller. Like, I love her clothing, but it also speaks to my personal style. I like that classic clean look. So even if it's in colors, it works for me because it's very tailored and structured to me. Whereas someone else may say, okay, I'm a creative, I kind of like that creative edge and flow, may decide, okay, you know what? There's some pieces that I've noticed, but I've purchased as well. It's like noticed like, okay, maybe Zara, yes, it's fast fashion, but I've always said everything is in moderation. So you don't just go in the store and be like, okay, I'm going to blow $1,000 on this. It's like, no, buy, because they do have quality pieces sometimes in Zara, those specific quality pieces that speak to your personal style. So if you're saying you're creative and you love just kind of like some of the trends that's on the market, it's like, yeah, tap into that. Buying in terms of what brands to shop comes down to what your personal style is, how you want to show up, and basically how you want to look. But that's just kind of like two brands that I know. I wouldn't say Zara isn't my absolute favorite, but it's like there. We know it.
So tell me, what is it like to work with a stylist? Like, what does that relationship look like? And we're all curious, to have someone actually shop for you and dress you. Well, like, what is that like? Well, what does that look like from a day-to-day standpoint?
I'm going to say this, first of all, it's a very personal experience, and it's a very vulnerable experience as well. I'm going to be very upfront, because whenever I'm working with my clients, we do from wardrobe revision, creating your signature style. I work on first letting you tap into who you are, right? And then you have to get vulnerable in terms of, if I have issues with my body, like I've always been that person, I've had clients who like, oh yeah, I don't like my body. I have this I hate this, I hate that, and have that negative self-talk around your body. And there's some vulnerability exercises that you'll have to do. One of which, you'll have to stand in your mirror and wear your birthday suit. If you know what that is, then you know what that is. Just talk to yourself as you would to any of your friends who would have said to you, oh, I don't like this about myself. and looking at all the positives that your body has done for you, from maybe you've had kids, maybe you've ran a marathon, and just the fact that you're up that day is a blessing, right? So that's a very vulnerable experience. Now, in terms of what it's like working with me, how do I work with my clients is I get to know you, you get to know me. That's the process. I get to learn what are your, what are some of the things that you like doing for fun? What is your goals in terms of your personal and professional goals? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? What are some of your insecurities? What are some things that you really want to try, but you're like, I don't want to do that because of what society may think, or because I didn't think I was going to wear that. It's kind of interesting enough. I had a styling and fitting session today with a client, and part of her session was to where I suggested give her a virtual closet where give her the recommendations. She can shop at her convenience. And one of the things that I suggested for her was a cold shoulder sweater swap. And she saw it in once you get a virtual closet, you can also, once you see the pieces, you can also put comments like, oh, I like this. No, I don't like that. And one of her comments in there was like, ooh, this is really pushing me outside of my comfort zone, because she's a t-shirt, very comfortable person. And then, so we did the fitting and styling today. And she's like, this is pushing me out of my comfort zone. I said, think about it. She likes t-shirts. She likes to wear vests with her. She doesn't have a problem showing her arms. So I'm like, let's think about it. That's actually a 2-in-1. It's just you've never worn that, right? So that is part of the process in working with me. We will go through, I'll try to make sure you're comfortable, but also push your style boundaries, because you were conditioned to think that you're not, I shouldn't wear that. So that's how I get to know you. And then, of course, as I said, you get to know yourself. Now, how do you want to show up? What is your message? What do you want to say? What do you want to communicate to yourself? And then, of course, we talk about like, what is your body type? We go through that. Suggest some, I'll give you a list of recommended pieces as to, okay, this is what I recommend based on everything that we've talked about, based on your style vision. These are the pieces that's going to help you to show up as your best self. Right. So the process is very much so in depth, it's collaborative. I'm not going to tell you what to wear. So I'm never going to start the process and saying, Susanne, I think you should wear this pink shirt. No. And that's where me getting to know you, you getting to know me, that whole process comes in, because I want to make sure whatever we decide, as in the two of us, what I do is as your guide, I'll say, look, okay, based on your body type, this may be a best fit. Let's try this color as opposed to this one. But at the end of the day, you are in full control of the direction of your personal style with, of course, my guidance.
I love it. I love it. Sounds fun. And at the end of the day, you get to refresh your whole image, which is really, really neat there. And especially if you've got like brand sessions, photo sessions that you have to do, it's great to make sure you have a killer outfit that's going to speak for your brand. Solita, this was amazing. So many juicy tidbits, and it just makes me want to just go shopping to change and refresh.
Please don't go shopping. Define your personal style and who you are first before you go shopping, because what will happen whenever we think about it that way, we buy what we know. So if you're accustomed to wear to be, black is the thing that's dominant in your closet. Whenever you go shopping, that's the only thing you're looking for, because you've already conditioned to see that. But when you define your personal style, when you create that mood board and vision of your style, when you walk into the stores that you like, you realize like, oh, I didn't know that they actually have this section here, right? Because now you're expanding your view to see more. So I really, encourage listeners, anyone, that before you shop, have a clear understanding as to what your personal style is, because you're going to end up buying the same thing, staying in the same style rut, not having the image that helps you to project your level of confidence. And you'll always feel as though, oh, this is not who I am. I wish that I can be, or I wish that I can dress this way.
Thank you. So, Solita, as we close out today, one of the things that we like to ask our guests is if you could leave our viewers or our listeners with any piece of advice. It can be personal, it could be business. What piece of advice would you leave us with today?
I am going to leave listeners with my all-time favorite quote by Caroline Wonga. She's the CEO of Essence. Who you are is non-negotiable. who you are is non-negotiable. If you can't be who you are, where you are, don't change who you are, change where you are.
I love it. I love it. Very, very good advice there. Now, how can our viewers find you? How can they work with you? How can they learn more about this fabulous topic?
Yes. So LinkedIn is my social media platform of choice. You can search for me, Solita C. Roberts. You'll find me there. You can also find me on my website, which is styletaimpact.com. There you have a connection to book a consult with me if that's something that you're looking to understand, like what your personal style is and what it's like working with a stylist to reach your style goals. Then, of course, you can schedule a style consultation with me. Just go to styletaimpact.com.
I love it. You guys that are driving your cars, I want you to stay safe. I'm going to go ahead and put Solita's information down in our chat. So you can definitely, when you get to a safe place, look it up and go ahead and book a consult with Solita.
Awesome.
Now, Solita, thank you so much for sharing your pearls of wisdom. It has been amazing and we have learned a lot.
Happy to. I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have this conversation with you and your listeners.
Thank you.